Hello. On the evening of March 10th, 1996, 6 Black women stood silent and nearly nude amongst the photographs, video, and gallery visitors as part of the group exhibition Persona. Contemporary Italian artist Vanessa Beecroft asked these women, quote, stand nearly still for a few hours, silent and lightly dressed as part of the performance work VB19. Beecroft's work was installed in the gallery of the Renaissance Society on the University of Chicago campus in the diverse but highly regulated neighborhood of Hyde Park, nestled next to the South Side of Chicago. The South Side, over the last several decades, has been perceived as economically impoverished and Black. Although possibly not aware of these layers, Beecroft, by way of the 6 women's bodies, highlighted the cultural and economic distance between the gallery space, university campus, and perceived outside of Chicago's segregated neighborhoods. However, the artist described VB19 to Renaissance Society director Suzanne Getz as a Black monochrome, and later as having no political content. Today I consider this assertion looking closely at Beecroft's complication of racial performance, questioning for whom the work is political, while teasing out the complexities of this work during the height of 1990s identity politics. At this time, 1996, artists such as Lyle Ashton Harris and Catherine Opie, both included in the exhibition Persona, questioned notions of identity, including queerness, race, and gender through photography. More recently, Beecroft often presents idealized bodies, fashion models and expensive accessories, wigs, heels, lingerie, and swimwear. For example, on the left, VB35 at the Guggenheim in New York is one of the artist's best-known works. A resulting image of this performance was used as the cover of the September 1998 Art Forum. Some critics read this work as empowering and confrontational, yet one cannot deny the uneven gaze from audience onto performer. Much of the critique of Beecroft's practice is grounded in feminist theory, a sensible choice considering Beecroft's loaded and under-articulated deployment of the nude female body. Yet when one considers such works as VB54 on the right, there seems to be an equal need to explore Beecroft's use of race, Blackness in particular. Part of the group exhibition Terminal 5 at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport, Beecroft darkened the model's brown skin to a uniform black. Her insightful application of stereotype within the work, a painfully forthright use of blackface with painted skin and pink lips, can be read as an exercise of objectification. For these reasons, Beecroft's use of the body and utilization of race, I consider VB19 to reveal her practice of objectifying and othering the Black female form. That is to say, delineating difference at and on the body of others. In this image, 2 of the 6 models look away from audience members, thrusting themselves against the white gallery wall, a space they share with artist Sharon Lockhart's photograph, Untitled. Here one sees most explicitly the context of the gallery, the work of the audience to observe, and the body of the model's rendered troubling object. Still, VB19 is distinct from Beecroft's later works at the Guggenheim and JFK Airport, both conceptually and visually. Images of VB19, however, are not readily available to the public. In addition to an unpublished artist edition on the far left, and a video recording of the performance labeled Beecroft Performance in the center, are photographs taken by commercial photographer Avis Mandel. So that's seen on the, closest to me on the far right. Or, no, farthest from me. Mandel was hired by the Renaissance Society staff to document VB19 and its audience. In one of several images taken by photographer Mandel, the 6 models stand in what is clearly an exhibition space, with white walls, large photographs, and gallery guests. The models have on lycra blend bodywear, popular during the mid-90s. These nearly sheer foundation garments reveal breasts, pinching their waist, and bulging stomachs. This contrasts the middle-aged, white, and fully clothed male patron, not to mention the slender bodies of her performance at the Guggenheim. The patron is appropriately dressed, wearing khaki parka and sensible New Balance shoes. His right hand points downward as he attempts to make eye contact with the model closest to him. In this image, the conditions of the models, semi-clothed, black, and young, stand in contrast with that of this audience member. Moreover, the models are an unnamed mass, dressed, or one could say undressed, to be one, whereas the male figure to the right is singular, an individual, and through his gesture, his pointing down, he figuratively speaks. This photograph is in part about race. That is to say, the central subjects in this image are the undressed black women. This is not to force any moral judgment upon the initial reading, to imply a universal understanding of this photographic record, or to suggest some expected reaction by those who view this image. It is instead because of the model's anonymity and availability, exposed, pictured, and consumed, that they become metonym. Like Edouard Manet's L'Oreille or Pablo Picasso's masks, Beecroft accesses this figure of exchange and commerce, an object erotic and distant from herself and her audience. This image plays out the storied histories of desire and power, voyeurism and feminine sexuality, other and normative self. The politics of this work are grounded in what artist and theorist Coco Fusco terms intercultural performance, the practice of displaying and exhibiting otherness to codify difference and establish normativity. In doing so, Mandel, by way of Beecroft, or Beecroft by way of Mandel, reveals the work VB19 as both exposing and enacting these instances of power. Beecroft required race bodies in order to construct her black monochrome, an aesthetic measure. She marks the gallery with these bodies, and they trace the space, exposing the borders of the appropriate. More than the lack of clothes they wear, which clearly distinguishes the models from audience members, it is the excess of color in a gallery space situated inside several spheres. The Renaissance Society, the University of Chicago campus, Hyde Park, and finally, the black South Side of Chicago, that distances the white interior of the gallery, here both a racial and cultural construct, from the more murky exteriority. Beecroft's use of monochrome makes reference to Russian suprematist Kazimir Malevich, whose 20th century writings and color-filled paintings called for the demise of figuration to produce a visual and conceptual zero form. In this installation image from the 1915 show 0.10, or The Last Futurist Exhibition of Pictures, one sees between two walls, in the top corner, the work Black Square. As frequently noted, Malevich placed Black Square in the honorific center of the room, where traditionally religious icons rest. Much in the way that Malevich marks these symbols absent, so too does Beecroft with VB19. In photographer Mandel's image on the left, the play between the absence of a body, the artist Beecroft, and the body, the tradition of the white female nude, are foreshadowed by Malevich's disruption of the sacred, a not there, but there. Yet Beecroft's use of monochrome can be read as intentionally duplicitous, in that her practice, so dependent on the body, it does not resist figuration. Her work grounded in the tangible material pain of endurance certainly undermines Malevich's zero form. She uses the terms black and monochrome, but her use is to delineate a recognizable other. In the text Museum Architecture and the Imperialism of Whiteness, historian Martin J. Berger suggests that beginning in the 19th century, the exteriors and interiors of art institutions, for example, the Art Institute of Chicago pictured here, represented advancement then understood as modern, progressive, and white. This was a moment when entry of patrons and artworks into art museums was heavily regulated. As a result, many people lacked the, quote, cultural capital to fully participate. To put it most frankly, Berger argues that whiteness, the construction of, and the impetus to maintain, shaped museum practices that continue into the present. In documentary video from the performance VB19, rather than neutral gallery, one sees a space loaded and embedded with whiteness. The frustrated black bodies of the models disrupt the hushed voices and soft glances of patrons. Through VB19, the models alternatively enter the space as objects for observation, yet their bodies figuratively prop up the walls of modernism as symbols of difference. Beecroft solicits such histories, yet it is unclear through these images whether the artist intended to expose or exploit this relationship between whiteness and blackness, modernity and other. In 1996, when Beecroft cast her work as having no political content, she aligned her practice with a lineage of art history, exhibition, and commerce that deny her positionality, distancing her subjectivity from those bared bodies she orchestrates for display. VB19 can be read in many complex and nuanced ways, but in the end, the artist's denials shape what I cannot avoid. VB19 is an exercise of power that is deeply political. Thank you.